I find that hard to believe. And welcome to the Anime4ALL podcast. We're here to review 2 episodes of Kinos' Journey. Spear, take it away. I will be here to talk. Don't panic. Just do what you did last week.
All right, so Kinos' Journey is spelled Kinos, and then there's an apostrophe. I'm sorry, Kino, and then apostrophe, and then an S. And then Journey is spelled just like it sounds, Journey. We are going to be looking at episode 3. So typically when you're spelling 3, if it's numbers 1 to 10, you spell out the word depending on the style guide you're going by. So in this case, the Crunchyroll is just using the number 3. So we're going to go with the number 3. So episode number 3, and that's Bothersome Country. So bothersome is a compound word spelled B. Why aren't you stopping me?
I knew that's what you were doing. I wasn't what the point. That's why I just wasn't saying anything. I was waiting for you to stop yourself.
the first surprise of this for me is that in the new Kinos journey, she apparently doesn't have a 3-day rule. Because when they ask how long she'll stay, she's like, oh, 5 to 10 days. So not only does she not have a 3-day rule, but she has like no rule for how long she's staying. Just a short amount of time is apparently the premise. How did you feel about them breaking that tradition away from the original?
I thought you mentioned that she was only staying 3 days in towns before.
Yeah, but apparently she doesn't. Apparently she doesn't have to stay 3 days in town anymore. Because
I thought she did that in the new anime. I thought she mentioned that before, that that was typically what the previous person did before her. Am I remembering that wrong, or?
Well, they break the rule. They break the rule in the next episode too, because she stays there for more than 3 days as well.
I mean, as far as like the 3-day rule not being followed, I'm not against it. Cause cause the idea is that some of these towns, like for instance, like how do you stay 3 days without really interfering with like this town, for instance? This town's moving all the time. They don't stop. One time it seems like these stop is for people to board it. But like, I feel like if you stay 3 days, you just stop them 3 days prior, and like who knows how much gas that takes for them to stop their vehicle, because it seems like it takes a bit for that town to stop. It doesn't just stop on a dime. It's not like a
the town's problem is too much energy, not enough energy. Not enough energy.
Yeah, that's true. As far as the 3-day rule, I was like, I mean, hey, if she wants to stay in this place a little bit longer, I feel like she's entitled. And on top of that, she was like, the whole idea of the 3-day rules for her to not interfere with the daily workings of the town anyway. That kind of went out the window when she interfered with the last towns every day.
Yeah, what was disappointing to me is that the 3-day rule was yet another thing that made Kino unique. You know what I mean? I was like, well, this is like one of her things. It's her signature thing that she only stays somewhere for 3 days. And they're just breaking it. They're just like, no, we don't do that anymore.
I mean, you already were telling me you weren't a fan of this show. I mean, it just sounds like you're getting more and more infuriated as we go on.
I'm not getting infuriated. It's just like I said, it's another example of them just kind of like why would they so? I mean, that's the show telling fans of the first anime that that's not in play anymore. That's why they specifically go, how long are you going to be staying? Because they specifically said that to original Kino, and she would repeatedly say 3 days, like every single time, 3 days. And now they're like, how long are you going to be staying? And she's like, I don't know, 5 to 10 days maybe. It's just kind of spitballing right now. It's no big deal either way.
Can you really imagine all that's happened to her during this one particular episode happening in 3 days? Like, legitimately speaking, I don't know how like all that would happen to her in 3 days. I feel like by the 3rd day, she would have come up to the wall of that very Russian-like town or whatever like that. And that would have been the end of everything. I don't know. I think that would have been really anticlimactic. Now, granted, I guess there was also opportunity for them to have her explore that town, which they didn't. Kind of just ran through it, showing small bits and pieces.
They don't really like what took so long that it wouldn't fit into 3 days.
I don't think that town's moving all that fast. It's moving at, like, I would say, a normal pace, maybe 30 miles per hour. But with that thing being as big as 30 miles per hour wouldn't be much of a movement. So
there's a good chance that Kino wasn't. There's a good chance that Kino was fairly like close to a town anyway, right? Because she was on it. She's always traveling from one town to the next anyway, so she was on her way to a town anyway.
I feel like she was after the moving town, but basically I was saying, she was in a wooded area, and that town with the wall didn't seem like it was near it at all. Like, wherever it was in a very barren area. Like, if anything, resources they had were definitely beyond the wall that they were living in. Like, like to me, it's like wherever she was originally, it didn't seem like that would have been a 3-day trek, depending on like how much land there is between that was between her at that moment and that place. I can't say. I was like, I don't know. It's like I don't know. Like if like depending how fast that particular country was moving, I can't say that either because they don't give a actual miles per hour how fast they're moving. To me, it seems like they're not moving all that fast. If like you said, Kino was able to stay on there for 10 days. It's like to me, it's like she's gauging how fast this place is moving, and I feel like she's able to do that. But 10 days was like she thought was like a good number, I guess. I don't know. And I don't know, like Kino here and Kino back then, and in the other show, I feel like she's just as laid back. But I don't know why in the original one she wouldn't have said an extra few days. Cause I don't remember like what was the original episode like. Cause I know you know that more than I would.
There was an episode in the original series, like towards the end of the series, where Hermes asked Kino, like, why do you only stay? Have you ever wanted to stay for more than 3 days somewhere? And she said, there was one place I wanted to stay for more than 3 days, but even then I stayed just 3 days. And that was the place where she met the little innkeeper girl that reminded her of herself. But she might have stayed there for more than 3 days, because I think she actually says, actually, I might stay here through more than 3 days. But what ends up happening there is the entire place like gets destroyed by a volcano. So she staying there for 3 days wasn't really an option.
I mean, I don't have much of a stake as much as you do here, where there are things you like and don't like. Her. If this wasn't something she did in the original, I guess it's like, should they have kept it? Probably. And maybe it didn't fit in the vision of the remake. Well, there are some things that remakes typically change. It flows better with what they're trying to do. I don't know. So for me, it's like, should she have stayed 3 days? Probably, but I don't know how fast that freaking town was moving. Even unlimited energy or over energy, beside is like, to me, as far as I can remember, I don't think that town was moving all that fast. I find it hard to believe that it would have made it beyond that town that they moved, that bothersome country that they managed to run into, with the bothersome country that she was riding.
You're giving the writers a lot of credit there too. Like, I mean, things are pretty stylized even in the new Kino's journey. Like, if it was convenient for them to shortly come up to a new town, then they're probably going to come up to a new town.
Remember, every episode she's coming up to another town. They don't really show us the journey she took.
What do you mean?
It's like every episode she's coming up on another town.
But I mean, if the town, like, if it was convenient for the town to come up, onto a new place, I think it would also, like, that's how it would play out.
I guess you're right. I guess I'm just trying to find a way to like fight for her staying 10 days versus this 3 days thing that you said that you preferred her staying 3 days because it's just how the original went. I guess speaking of that, I guess of the whole idea of like original versus new, I had this thought process earlier, and it's like, I think you may mention that I was because it was more mainstream, I was probably more liking this one version than the other one. I don't think that's really it. It's like, for me, and this isn't me fighting against anything you said last week. That was, I mean, a couple weeks ago. That was already said. Basically, what I want to say is like, not every show in that I've ever watched utilizes color to this extent. I just like it because it kind of just shows different variations of color. Because when it comes to color in anything, what I mostly like about color, it isn't vibrancy and like, because like depending on what they're doing with the show, like I even like sometimes the color in Anime Girl's eyes because it kind of gives more expression and more emotion. Here it doesn't really work for Kino because she's very emotionless most of the time. But what I like about color in general is like if color is there and then color is missing, there's a drastic change in tone of something that's happening in the show or whatever like that. It conveys that. Not saying that the brown and whatever like that in the original is bad. I think for me it's like because there's such a lack of color, if there's anything happening drastically that they want to convey through a feeling in the show, I don't think the original could have done it. And I understand that mostly everything they've been doing in the original show was an artistic choice, and I respect that. As far as like when it comes to this show, if I had to recommend Kinos Journey to somebody, I'd probably tell them to give the first one a shot. If they couldn't get into it, then I would recommend the remake. And if they still couldn't get into it, because I still feel like, basically I'm saying all this to say I may not remember too much about the original, but trust me, I will not remember much about this new one. It's like, in all honesty, it's like as much as I'm saying that I like this one because of the color, like I can guarantee you when we're done with this will be in the rear view mirror of my brain and I'll never see it again. So I don't really have like, if I had a gun pointed in my head and it's like I had to pick one, I'd say the original, just because it came out first and it's, as you say, artistic integrity. I'm not sure you said that word, but you said that's kind of what I got from the way you praised it, because you said is artistic integrity put in there. The inability to really show drastic changes and stuff like that because of the muted color palette is disheartening. But I mean, if they were able to get what they're getting across without it, then who am I to say that it's say that it doesn't work? Some shows do better with a wider color palette, and I do watch some shows that have varying color palettes. I can't think of anything right now, and part of me wants to show you the intro to Angel Beats. I know it's kind of still mainstream, but Angel Beats isn't a show that people think about, or even like, I think there's a niche amount of people that like that show, but it's got a color palette similar to this, but it's still kind of dark. And I guess that's what I'm saying is like there are varying tones to a brightly colored show. There's different things just beyond My Hero Academia that I've shown you, and shows like that I've shown you that I gravitated to. It's like I like different things. I mean, a good example of something that was very different in tone than anything that I probably would have watched back in the day. Tokyo Ghoul, for instance. There's a lot more blood in that thing, a lot more gore. There's a lot more darker themes in that show, just in general. And it's not the brightest colored show. I want to say that, like, it's not like purely black and white, but when they want you to focus on something, they make sure to dull down the color so you can see it. Like, basically, and like there's a lot more darker things, and the main character isn't just this slate of good intentions for the most part. You learn later on why he's the way he is, and it's really messed up. But like Kino, for instance, I don't know what background other than her really messed up upbringing that we'll talk about whenever we get to that episode, because I'm pretty sure they changed that all the way. It's probably not going to be as dark as it was. I mean, I could be wrong, and they could make that darker than anything I've seen in my life. But basically, understand, like, just because this one has a color palette, I don't know if it's really going to appeal to any more. Now, granted, it'll probably pull in newer fans, and you'll have that argument between older fans and newer fans, and I don't think we can avoid that when we remake anything. There's perfect example of the old fan base versus the new fan base. Daima, as you brought up 2 weeks ago, that has been divisive for a multitude of reasons. And some people don't like the Dragon Ball feel, and a lot of us who watched Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, the one where Goku was a kid, we liked that. And when Daima came around, a lot of us missed that. So Daima was a nice break from in Goku as an adult. A lot wasn't changed, even though it was just our bodies that were changed. But we got a chance to see Goku as a kid again. apparently the original voice actor for the Goku in Japan, as a kid, came back to reprise her role. I think they got the original English voice actor for Goku for us too. I think I didn't really
Oh yeah.
listen. I didn't really listen to the English dub for Diamond. I probably should. I think there was talk that they were getting her back too. For us, so they might have done that. And then we got like Vegeta as a kid. That's something we never really saw. There are varying tidbits of Vegeta as a kid. But we didn't really get to see a lot of it. So having Vegeta as a kid was kind of cool in that sense too. But there's divisiveness between Daima and Z and people who wanted more Super, which is understandable because that show is not done yet. I mean, for crying out loud, where is it, Toei? But Daima was a nice, just gonna be changes. So like, I'm saying all of this to ultimately say, probably, even as somebody who doesn't enjoy the original, I'd probably recommend that to people, just in general. But like, I think this show has some merits, even though there are some changes that I can't say are for the better. You're probably more of the judge on that one. Because like the color palette, I was fighting for that last week, is based on what I'm basically trying to get at. Is like, and I was like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm gonna immediately forget about this show and I'm done. Not because it's bad, it's just that I'm watching so many other things going on right now, and Kino is, as interesting as the show is, it's gonna fall into the cracks. It's just gonna fall in. That's kind of why when I had mentioned before and I said, yeah, Kino, I don't remember that much, and you would say, oh really? And like, I understood like that probably disappointed you a lot considering you like this show a lot. And it's like for me, it's I'm watching so much stuff, right? Keeping up with newer stuff. For me, it's like this show is as interesting as it is. Like for me, as a person who watches a lot of things and you don't watch a lot of things, you're gonna remember this a little bit more because you're picking and choosing what you want to watch. And if you don't have anything really to pick and choose from, you're probably gonna remember everything you watch a lot more vividly and vehemently than I would. Other reason why I want to let you talk, and I will let you talk. Sorry.
You're fine. Yeah, I think that the color, I think it's just another piece, to go back to what we were talking about originally, it's just another piece of everything.
He hates new things. Sorry.
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking. Calm down.
They're just drastically like overdoing they're just drastically overhauling her, and in a way that like it's not new things. It's like it was a thing, and now it's
If I can say, I don't, and this is just from, I'm also pulling from what I saw on the episode 4. I don't really know if they're overhauling Kino, because if I'm remembering, she was kind of a blank slate in the first one. Like, I don't think she was really ever the focal point in much of anything other than that one episode that she was the focal point. As far as like giving her character here, which they definitely don't do a lot of. I've seen a lot more brightly colored shows that give characters a lot more character than they've been giving her.
It's not just a color overhaul though, it's like a total overhaul. Like they took away her, like she's not solemn anymore, and she's not like reserved, and she's doesn't have her 3-day rule, and she's much more willing to kill and be aggressive, and she and Hermes like is more like a humorous relationship for her than it was. And it's just like there's a lot of stuff going on that really is taken away from the whole identity of everything, and it's just kind of like, and she's still a traveler, she still has guns, I guess.
If I can interject,
she doesn't. What?
I feel like in the original, I got the vibe that she was still willing to kill there. And I don't think she's as like expressive. I've seen, and I guess it's before I shut up, I've seen more expressive characters in my time watching shows. You're saying she's a little more expressive here. I don't really. I've seen characters with her expression, and they're very blank. This is probably the least expressive character I've seen. Like even the girl that they showed in the next episode is just as a blank face.
The girl in the next episode is way less expressive than her. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about now.
Not saying like I've seen more expressive characters is basically what I'm saying. Like I don't. She's not as expressive to me as you're saying that she is. I didn't really say much more in the last two episodes, but I was like, she is like I've seen more expressive characters than I've seen of Kino expressing much of anything. She comes off as aloof for the most part to me, but continue.
I don't know. I think she's friendly and helpful, at least by comparison to the original.
Was she not friendly or helpful in the first one? Well, I feel like she was.
She's amicable. Like, she wants to get along with everybody. She's not combative. Like, she's go with the flow, though. Like, she's go with the flow more than she's like friendly.
I feel like she's go with the flow here. I mean, I'm not picking a fight here. I'm just saying from my own observation of what I'm taking in, of what I've seen. Granted, I'm also not having the background of the previous show to like compare. I'm just trying to like take in what you're telling me, that what you remember her being like in the original one, and compare this one to that one. And I don't know, from the sounds of it, you're saying that she's like, I feel like she's kind of the same. It's just like the gun thing. Yeah, maybe she's a lot more fire first, then ask questions later. But to defend what she did in the Coliseum a little bit, even without like the narrative of the town around her, I got the feeling that the king was a douche canoe for the most part, and he kind of had what happened to him coming. That's just like in general, like I feel like I got the idea that the town was a pretty barbaric place, even without the need of the narrative, the people that she talked to in the first one. Now I will say, to counteract that, I will have to agree, the randomity of Hermes knowing information because off camera he's talking to somebody we didn't see is kind of aggravating, because like it's like, okay, it feels like to me, and I don't know, like I didn't want to say this before, it's like I feel like either my disdain for the bike got back to the people, because he's been less included in a lot of action scenes than he was before. Like, whatever reason he's not there, and whenever he does show up, he somehow got information that we could have used 2 scenes ago. He does it again in episode 4, but we'll get to that. But it's like, as far as like the Coliseum thing, just in general, I feel like she's still just as aloof as she was in the original one. She doesn't appear all that different to me. In general, she probably does fire things a lot more often. I can't really compare that. She wasn't using her gun a lot, which I will say, from the very limited imaging in my brain of the original show, I guess I will have to say I don't remember that many instances of the gun, only in the Coliseum, and I don't even think she used the gun all that much in the Coliseum. So like, if she's using the gun a lot more here, then oof. But I don't know, like she still seems kind of aloof. She doesn't seem, like, I would say she's normal aggressive. But I guess like if she wasn't aggressive to begin with, then okay, that's a change. Again, it's like,
well, she had a very strict policy against aggression originally.
Again, these are things I really don't remember about the original character. But from what you're telling me, and I'm trying to base off of here of this new one, like I don't typically agree with the concept that, you know, a remake, the character is 100% different than the original one, because like it's still the same character, but maybe the creator had different intentions. Who really knows? I didn't really read the novel that this is based off of, so I don't know what was written down about her in the light novel that I think this is based off of. And again, I'm not saying that you're wrong that you're saying that you're wrong that she's different. I'm personally just not seeing it. Is I think what I'm trying to get at is like from you telling me and then the limited information that I remember and then basing it all that on her here. Maybe it's just like I'm just used to a character like her and she doesn't seem all that different because I am unintentionally basing other characters that are like her on her in conjunction with everything else. She just isn't. She just seems like as aloof. Because I will say I still stand by it. I've seen way more expressive characters than her. So the idea that she's like more expressive, I find that hard to wrestle with because like if she opened her eyes a little bit more and there was a lot more color coming off of her eyes and she had the gleam, whatever like that, then I would say. She doesn't even the little gleam that she does have in her eyes. That's just typical anime, and she's really got the aloof expression down. Like to me, it's just like if she's expressive, I'm not seeing it, and maybe that changes later on. I will admit she has smirked a little bit, but again, I'm not saying what you're saying is invalid. I'm just basing what I'm aware of off of that one. And using the information you're giving me to make something for myself. But like I'm just saying that's what I was seeing. But again, I think you had a thought that I completely railroaded.
I have no idea anymore.
And you know how I feel.
Anyway, I do still feel that that they're moving things along quite a bit, like away from the original, and that a departure here is not just like what's going on, but like also like something that's an intentional choice. Like I said, like the fact that they straight out say, how long will you be staying? And it's 3 days. So I think there's signals to the audience that yes, she's a different character. Yes, we're doing it on purpose. Yes, we're going to keep doing it. All right. So that being said, they follow up by like a minute or two later, like calling Hermes a motorbike instead of a motorrad. And I realized that they don't. I don't think they've called Hermes a motorrad yet in the series, so that might have gone away too.
No, I think that might just be an English thing. I think that might just be an English dub thing. I can't know because I didn't watch the Japanese sub, but I'm almost for certain that might just be an English thing. An English sub thing, an English dub thing, because typically they will do that kind of thing, and it's for some people it's infuriating, others they don't care. I'm in that camp, but I can see why that because like there is context lost when the English dubbers do that. I can see that being infuriating, but
infuriating might be a strong term for it, but it was sort of like I said, it's just sort of like one more thing, you know what I mean, that like is kind of that's intentionally different, and they just kind of throw that out there. I also thought it was weird because like she's also a ritualistic character in a lot of ways. Like she's very consistent in my opinion with what she does with things. But remember in the previous episodes I mentioned that she always seems to sleep with her gun on her chest. Like in the other 2 episodes, every time she went to sleep, she slept with her gun on her chest, and they would show that. Like they would break away and show her like laying down and putting her gun on her chest, and that was like something they would pointedly do. In this one, I noticed that she doesn't lay with her gun on her chest at all. Twice, like not just once, but like there's one time when she's in the hammock, and I'm like, okay, maybe she doesn't sleep with a gun on her chest whenever she's in a hammock. I can get that because she falls out and a gun doesn't fall out with her. But then also, when she lays down in that town, like she must feel pretty comfortable with everything because she doesn't do that there either. Did you notice that?
I mean, I feel like I've seen her sleep with a gun, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know why I'm misremembering. It's like I just watched. Yeah, I think I have noticed that sometimes she definitely doesn't. I didn't really take notice of that as something that was different, or something that
Oh,
just.
it was an interesting signal to me because she was specifically sleeping with her the gun on her chest and other parts, and here she is like not doing it at all.
So you're saying she was
So
doing it
anyway,
in this show and then she just stopped?
yeah,
I guess that she is sleeping
exactly.
with the gun. I was like, okay. I was like, when I was listening to it, I thought I was hearing that she wasn't doing it at all, and I'm like, why do I remember her doing it?
No, she started doing it, and then in these 2 episodes, she stopped doing it. Like she's not doing it anymore.
It could just be an animation error, maybe.
I don't know, because she actually like in the other one she laid specifically on her back, and this one she actually curls up on her side, and she's like, "Ah, nice bed with clean sheets." And it's a completely different experience.
Maybe she doesn't want to put the gun on her nice clean linen.
The nice clean. I mean, someone else is cleaning the linen, but sure, if you say so.
Just trying to come up with. I mean, the gun would be dirty, and bed sheets wouldn't. Got dirt over the nice white sheets.
She doesn't have dirt like on her guns. Like she keeps her guns gleaming like clean and like usually in the. I mean, now she'll probably dump them in the toilet or something, but she does a lot of gun maintenance and stuff like that in the original anime. God knows what she'll do in this one, but like I feel like she would still at least keep them in good shape.
Oh, those are Reddit. I want to hear about Kinos journey of 2003 versus 2007. Huh.
Okay, so anyway, there's just a few changes I saw there that I thought were interesting. About the episode itself, it seems like a big metaphor to me. This giant country that's just barreling along and like progress and a need to like burn up every resource on hand seems to be leading to a general situation of disaster. Do you think that's fair?
Read that again.
Um, I think that there's a sort of like a metaphor here for the country, like in just sort of marching towards disaster.
With the one that's moving.
Yeah. What do you think I meant?
I don't know, because there are two countries here, and I'm just like, aren't really. I guess I should have picked up on marching towards disaster because the one that's got a wall up ain't going anywhere. I guess I was taking it. I was taking what was going on. I guess in the metaphor I was picking up on was like, because at the end of the episode, the Motorrad literally says like both countries are bothersome, and when he said that, I was like, and then I think it was even brought up like both countries are bothersome, and either way, either one of them is going to cause a problem for others. I thought about that as like, huh, interesting. Is like, I guess like if there's an object, there are two objects, and like one's consistently on the move, and then this object over here is stationary, and that's just one's coming barreling through. It's asking to be let through, but the object that is stationary won't move. Both countries are causing a problem because one's consistently causing problems by moving and destroying everything around it. So I guess that could be barreling towards or through disaster, one sense. But then you also got the town that's not moving, it's kind of stuck where it's at, and I guess almost stuck in its own ways because it seems like based on the way the I guess the Commodore. I keep thinking this place is Russian. I think it might just because the English dub. I'm really sorry for anybody who might be Russian and I'm offending with this statement. But they seem to be very like they're saying like you are basically they didn't say this, but it seemed like to me like if they had the opportunity to come to go to war with this country, not only would they lose, but like I'm pretty sure they would have gone to war with it. But they were not trying to let it through, and it like pretty much progress was not stopped, and basically that entire country that's moving is an act of progress. It's like it's got all kinds of machinery going on in it, and as I said before, it's almost got infinite energy. It's got to burn whatever it's got to I guess to make sure it doesn't become over oversaturated is not the word I want to use. Overcome a lot of byproduct, and the kids on there are taught, to look towards the future. There's scientists people on the ship, and then there's like what seems to be kind of like farmers living on the land where they're trying to get through. And then their technology was clashing. But either way, both countries are balancing in their own way. One's consistently moving and disregarding everything around it. Meanwhile, the country that's stationary is disregarding everything around it and just quarantining a section of land off in either direction to like keep their people safe.
Yeah, but they could have just turned.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that thought did come, but I think didn't he mention that like because of how fast they were going or where they were already in trajectory, there's no way they could make a turn.
They didn't say that. They just said, you built this wall all the way around the plane that we're trying to get through, so we can't get to the plane without going through you.
That made it sound like there was so much that they quarantined, there was no way they were going to get around them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's exactly it. But at the same time, they could have just turned right. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to go anywhere in particular, do they?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think those ever stated that they were going anywhere. I think they were just consistently moving because it's their way of life.
Right, but they could have moved some other direction. They didn't have to go that direction specifically. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna go in a direction,
I don't know, did they really seem like they had much control over the way they were going? They were just kind of going forward. Though, I will counteract that statement with the fact that they literally did stop when Kino wanted the board. So I don't know who's got control of what going on in there. I want to play devil's advocate. Like, yes, they could have turned right, but why couldn't they just have? Why couldn't the
or turned around, but like not 180 degrees? Like they could have turned around, like
why couldn't
140 degrees and just gone in a completely in that direction?
Getting rid of that. I mean, that been copyright. That was cover. Whatever. The devil's advocate that I couldn't the stationary country just let them through. Like, I feel like they could have easily like brought down their wall to let them through, so that way they didn't crush everything and then move their people away from like the away from the zone in which this giant robot's moving through. Because like either way, because it wasn't like the giant robot was there trying to cause problems. It is because of their act of moving they were causing problems. Because they weren't trying to fight. Like the stationary company was the country that was the one that started firing first. That that was advocate for the wrong side here, but whatever. I'm gonna continue with what I'm saying. Is like either way, they were both problems because like no side in the situation is absent of fault. Yeah, they could have turned or found another way. I'm kind of curious with the fact that this is such a scientific marvel. Not that he said this, but I could almost tell in the way how much pride they were taking in everything and their ability to make their own energy, and that they are in fact making too much of it. I wonder like they just did fly over the town. But I feel
no idea.
Because I'm actually kind of curious. Like, I feel like they could have easily burnt off a lot of their excess energy doing that. I mean, like, it could have been easier for them to get around and versus the stationary town. Granted, the stationary town didn't quarantine as much land as they did.
Mhm.
So luckily on their end, they won't ever have to see them again. At least I don't think they will. And it didn't seem like when they passed through that they were ever going to meet that town again. I could be completely wrong when they see them again in another 100 years. different, different people in town now. Different people on the moving on the moving marble. They're like, oh no, we're doing this again. And it's like somebody's like just watching, having their lunch. Hey, Commander. The heck? Uh,
So I don't. Do you see the metaphor though? Like progress will not be stopped no matter what, and it's sort of a mindless like entity in its own way.
I can see
Like we're just
progress
gonna roll
being good.
forward, and it doesn't matter if it's insane. Like we're just gonna do it.
I mean, I can see that metaphor, but I feel like there's also a metaphor for the town that's stationary. Just can't think of it right now. But like, I mean, the entire episode is called "Bothersome Countries" or "Bothersome Country," but like at the same time, like the moderator definitely said that both countries are bothersome. It's the act of living. You're going to encounter another human that's going to cause problems with.
Yeah. I could see what you mean by that. I think bothersome is like a deliberate understatement, though. I don't think bothersome is like and meant to encapsulate everything that's going on there.
I feel like it's a good, you know, I mean, if you want to say insane, I mean, I think there's something to be said about it being insane. I will say a consistently moving town that doesn't stop is insane. But I mean, they managed to make
Mhm.
it work. I also want to say that also a town that just stays
It works for
there and doesn't
them,
change.
sure. It doesn't. It works for them, great, but does it necessarily work for anybody else?
I mean, also a town that just sits there stationary and it doesn't change, no matter what's happening around it, or doesn't accommodate anything else around it. Like, I would say both countries are at fault. I think both of them have the same amount of blame because, yeah, the moving country was moving around, not caring about people around it, but luckily they've been moving through forests and whatnot. And the fact that these settlements seem to be so few and far between. Um, but
Right. They did. They made a um, surface level effort to steer her out of the way. Like I get that.
but with the stationary, even with the stationary country that's there, which I mean most countries are stationary, with that one, were being stubborn. They weren't even like. It was clear that they were not gonna have their townspeople move, and I think that's even more of a bothersome tactic. Is not having your own people you're trying to keep safe out of danger. Granted, easily could have been avoided but I don't know where they would have turned because I feel like if they did turn in right or left, they would have been going indefinitely in one direction because I don't think there's an end to that wall, or at least an immediate end to that wall that they had put up.
Hmm.
But either way, either they turned left to not hit and run over them, or they they didn't let them through, whatever like that. I feel like both there was no real solution for the problem that was presented itself. Like, ultimately, yeah, progress doesn't stop for no man. But at the same time, it's like I feel like there was no real good solution to the situation. They either just stop and they make time. They make. I guess they could just have stopped where they were and just home, get a home there. But who's to say that country that they were gonna run into was gonna have problems with them putting their giant bulbous home in their view?
Hmm. Um, yeah. How dare they build a house in the path of this random country that's just reading along?
Fine.
um. So anyway, like I think that that's the metaphor here. That it's supposed to be a giant metaphor for progress. That it's rolling forward at all times, barreling forward. It's got technology. It's got power. It's got energy. It's got everything that it needs. And they just don't really care. And they're being so like civil and cute about how brutal um, about how brutal they are. You know what I mean? As a race. You know, oh, sorry about that. Sorry about the inconvenience. And the general, as they're rolling off into the sunset, is like, "You horrible person! You know, you ruined my everything. You know, I demand retribution." And they're like, "Sorry, we can't stop right now. We got to keep going." Ha 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 ha. So awkward. And like, the country's has had like a swath run through it. Their great walls have been destroyed on both sides. They've got to rebuild the wall. They've got to rebuild the farmland. Don't forget, just running through farmland is like, I guess it's better than like driving through farmland. I guess is better than driving through like houses, but like they're also like that's still doing damage to their civilization. You know what I mean? Like they're still losing crops and having devastation dealt to their. It's still destroying all sorts of stuff in its way.
That's what I wanted to. So I was looking for like what was the other what will be the opposite to progress stops for no one. Well, according to AI earlier, this is what it is, and I was like, well, this is the closest I'm gonna get to it. I think this is like what that country that was sitting there doing like not going anywhere kind of represents. Is like represents stagnation, regress, or resistance to change. Yeah, there was a resistance to change, all right, because I don't think they were intending to uproot with it, and didn't have to. Again, like nobody's entitled to anything to anybody doing anything for them in this situation. No one, like, they don't have to stop their progress moving machine for anybody. But also the same thing can be said about the people who had set their planted their roots there to live. The other way, it's like progress versus stagnation. I guess it might be with the perfect. Like, unfortunately, I don't know if stagnation is the right word, but progress and resistance to change. That's what that town was representing, was resistance to change.
But they're also talking about countries in general being like that, don't you think?
I'm pretty sure. And yeah.
Like, I think they're making a statement about how countries in general act like with each other.
Well, one country fired the other one. I mean, I laugh because it's kind of funny. It's kind of sad at the same time. And worrisome. I'm not gonna get that last bit.
How is it sad? What do you mean?
And what's going on in the world right now, but I wasn't gonna really dive into that. There's been some situations where there's been, aggression and resulted in more damage. And it's kind of funny that it's being acted out, and it's being acted out, and
No, I completely agree with you. I think that's very accurate. Like, I think then you think about it and you're like, well, does the country have to be moving for it to like be a complete like drain on the universe? And the answer is no. Like, these countries that stay in place people are still running all over the place and like burning down like everything. It doesn't really matter like very much, does it?
I guess not. But again, like, they don't have to be in one spot. They've proven that a country can survive on the move. Somehow they're the only country doing it, because I think that they would have run into another country if there was another country doing that.
Yeah, so I think that like the moving thing is just like a manifestation of the problem, but that they're making a deep, pretty and cool commentary here about places in general, and like the devastation the countries in general would have.
I don't have anything to add.
All right. I like the line "leave only footsteps" as this thing like they had on the bottom, and they mentioned at the end of the episode, "leave only footsteps."
I mean, according to them, they said that I guess, well, they don't know because they're constantly on the move, but the idea is that they're hoping that, you know, the wreckage that they're leaving in their wake would, you know, lead to more settlements. I think that's what they said. It was something in that regard, like they were hoping that either nature was going to cover it up or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like, yeah, well, hopefully things will grow back one day, and this isn't a permanent reign of destruction. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, when they were talking about moving in, you know, Kino brings up that, you know, they are leaving tracks.
How did you feel about Kino shooting down the missiles?
That was interesting. I mean, they kind of preluded that fact when they showed that she was carrying a rifle on her, which was strange. I was like, where did that rifle come from? What the heck? That was kind of cool. I would say very anime because I don't think in real life we could shoot down missiles. But then again, I don't know what the army trains people to do sometimes. Things that the army trains you to do sometimes is kind of like, wouldn't believe what you know, what skill sets they give you.
Mm.
It was a cool action shot. I'll say that much. Wasn't expecting it, but I mean, it was a cool action shot. I think it kind of just shows that she's really capable of a gun. I think that's really cool. Maybe you think otherwise. I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to be surprised, but I actually didn't have a problem with this situation. I thought that it was okay that she was able to shoot it down.
Yes, I am shocked.
Why are you shocked?
Just the fit when she used the gun. I'm thinking the Coliseum. You didn't even pitch a fit. It was more like you had a problem with her, like either like shooting a gun. I think you even called her when she shot the guy in the head. You called her a psychopath.
Did I?
Yeah, you called her a psychopath. You like I'm not sure in what context of what it was, but you definitely said that you feel like you may not have truly meant what you meant that, but I took it that you called her a psychopath. You know, she was like, or a psycho. You know, she was like, you know, it seemed kind of crazy that she had shot the guy in the head, you know, versus what she had done in the previous show. I feel like she killed the guy, and then she also she put a roll in for that town. Like, you know, you had to, like, the last person standing would be the roller. Not a lot what she did there was like psychopathic.
Yeah, but in this one, she was just sort of like, in this one, she's just sort of like, I don't know, like protecting a mural. You know what I mean? Like the missiles weren't going to do any damage, so she's not like interfering with the war itself. She's just sort of protecting a mural.
No, I get
Right?
that. No, I get that. I was just saying you. It's just like, okay, this gun's cool, or this gunplay is cool, and then the other gunplay you had a problem with. I mean, people can have differences of opinion for anything. Like in the previous show, I had a problem with the motor ride. I'm not gonna really bring that up here.
Oh my god.
I'm not, okay. I'm
For the
not.
48th time, you sure you don't want to? You
I'm not
can't. Sure you
bringing
can
it up. I was
resist
like,
bringing it up for the
I'm not.
48th time?
I'm not bringing it up. That's what I said, though. I am not bringing it up here.
I don't know. You just sort of not brought it up just a second ago.
I may have made mention of it, but I didn't say what anything about what I said. But that also doesn't mean I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. Just be real. I think I'm over it. I think I really am. And it might have just taken me a couple of years, and it's gotten to the point I don't care.
Some therapy. Yeah.
Like, yeah, like whatever. It's like, I think as long as nothing triggers me in this show, I should be fine. I should be able to get through it. Like I don't find like the Motorrad or Motorbike or whatever, as like obtrusive. And again, that's kind of like where I feel like I don't know why. And I would buy this if this was true, if somebody told me this, that they heard me complaining about it, and they just put as few scenes with him in it as humanly possible. Because I swear he has had a lesser presence. Maybe you can confirm this for me. I don't really know. I feel like the Motorrad's been less present as a result of these couple episodes. He said more, that's for sure, but he's also less robotic. But
It's a much milder Motorrad. Like it's more relevant to the plot. Like the Motorrad is doing thing isn't just sort of a bystander that's also transportation for Kino. Like it played an important plot role in the next episode, and played an important plot role in the Coliseum episode as well. So it's not like the bystander that it used to be, but like it at the same time, it's like it's a milder presence. Like it's informative and it's cheerful and maybe a little humorous, but like it doesn't have that snark and that bitter presence that it used to have.
I feel like, hear me out, hear me out. I feel like we could probably
Okay.
have had the original personality of the Motorrad in his presence everywhere if maybe he had the information dump that he's capable of here. I think that would have been a balancer in an opinion. And I think honestly, I think my bigger issue, and I think I'm even just discovering this now, it's not the fact that Motorrad can talk. It's the fact that Motorrad in the first series wasn't really necessary. And by necessary, I mean the place that he was at, he wasn't providing anything to the
Wait,
show.
who is he?
Motorrad.
Okay, Hermes. Yeah.
Hermes. Hermes was not. Sorry, I forgot he had a name.
Are you
Hermes.
kidding me?
Yeah, I literally generally just forgot he had a name. I apologize.
We talked about it last episode, the
I'm
last
aware his name
podcast
is
episode.
Hermes. I'm aware I used Hermes. I think the name Hermes this podcast I just completely forgot. At least because I kept on referring to him as Motorrad. He kept saying Motorrad.
Yeah.
I just completely lost his name there. I don't know how I did it. But okay, Hermes, I feel like if Hermes had his personality from the original show, but he also had the information dump skills that he had here, I think he would have been a better character. I think my bigger problem is, I think I even said this during the original, I don't even know if I could find it anywhere, that I think his presence was more annoying to me because he didn't add anything. He was just kind of there. And like, even like, I think it's kind of why I was harping on his origin. I wanted them to give me something, and he was just there, and that's all he was there. Like I'm not used to shows where they have a character, which is like, let's be real, Hermes is a character. He was in the show. They gave him a name. He's with Kino. He is a character, but he wasn't doing anything. He was just transportation. If that's really all they really wanted him for, okay, cool. I didn't like that because he was talking. And to me, like if I see something talking, I'm expecting some type of character to come from it, even if it is like Lester. To me, Hermes didn't provide anything. I think that's really ultimately where my issues were, and I couldn't vocalize it. But it was like, regardless of him being an automaton that they don't explain too much about. If he had maybe provided more to the plot, maybe I would have just gone flat over it. 'Cause I think here, since he is, even though I don't particularly love that he is disappearing for a couple scenes and then coming back with all sorts of lore, I'm like, and that, but he's talking to somebody and that we don't see. This is the other thing too. He mentions a guy and it's like, I was talking to him, we were exchanging favors, and he just told me this. I'm like,
Just swapping
when
whatever.
were you? What? I'm not a huge fan of that particular style of lore drop, but with that being said, at least he's doing something. He's letting us know that he is doing something in the background. So it's like, okay, at least he's providing something to the plot. besides being a transportation device. Like, because that's all Hermes was in the first series, was a transportation device who just happened to talk. And maybe that was all right for people. I mean, I can't say for sure. I think for me that was bothering me, considering that he was a character. At least how I was seeing it. He was a legitimate character they made efforts to give a voice to. Do more with him versus him just being a transportation. But again, that's probably what I was really harping on, and that's why I said he was talking. It's like he should have had more going on, and I guess here it's like it's more forgivable because he is providing something to the plot. Like, again, I'm not a huge fan of the device that they're doing, which is like he's just stored somewhere and just happens to find the right person to talk to. Meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
Kino is over here either like talking to people that don't really have much to say, or she's fighting for her dang life. It's never in the middle. It's a 50. It's either one side or the other. So I was like, yeah. But right now, yeah, Morad to me is okay. If they don't do any more with him other than him just being in the background, him getting lore bits for us to tell us in later on in the episode, which is apparently he's been doing these last two
Yeah.
episodes. Okay, I'll be fine with that. At least he's providing something, and that I don't think he is pointless. Um, but uh, Motorrad, this particular show, he seems cool. I mean, would I prefer him being the stoic type? Probably. Most of the jokes would probably land better, but
Yeah.
eh, you know, I don't think they could have gotten the voice actor, that was, back, because I'm willing to bet that person, if that show was in 2003, they're probably either busy or retired or dead. So I guess even if they wanted to go with that route, they probably couldn't get that voice actor back. And this voice actor is deeper. Because I feel like, am I wrong? Wasn't Motorrad like sounding younger, like more like childish or whatever, or even preteen in the original? Or am I remembering that wrong? So I don't remember Henry's original voice all that well.
You don't remember the original Hermes voice?
And at least not all that well. I was like, I don't know I feel like he might have sounded younger, but I don't really know.
It was kind of like this, but a little more feminine. Kino, what is that?
But yeah, maybe they could have toyed around with the idea a little more, making, I don't know. Like, there are things I like about this Hermes, and there are things I don't like about this Hermes, but I feel like overall, just, I don't really have many complaints. I mean, other than ones I just
Mhm.
expressed. But it was the original question.
Oh my god.
I thought there was a point I was trying to make and I completely lost the point as I was talking. I do that a lot sometimes. I guess we can continue wherever we left off in your notes.
Yeah, we could do that. Think I'm mostly done with episode 3 though, if you want to dive into 4.
That's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
Oh, yeah, no, I talk like this. That's pretty funny that you sound like that.
No, XLG, we're not. I will not. Wait. What the hell? You did it again with mayor. I'm not running for mayor, XLG. I don't think we need more bike lanes. People around here can't even drive with the current bike lanes that they currently have. Continue. Episode 4. I forgot the name of episode 4.
Episode 4 was Ship Country. And a much more complicated episode than episode 3 in my opinion.
I actually genuinely like this episode.
You genuinely liked it?
Yeah.
I was okay with it. Much of it. I think I think there were things in this episode that like confused me. Like at the beginning, I was like, "Wait, isn't this Kino's journey? Like, what's going on here?"
Okay, so I wasn't the only one who noticed. Strangely enough, the first half of the episode was based on Shizu.
Shizu and Roku, yeah. And that's what I mean. So I started out being like, "Wait a minute, isn't this Kino's journey? Like, what happened to Kino? Like, what's going on here?" And it's an interesting story, and it's interesting to see Shizu is like, and took the noble road, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna spend my time with the with the commoners. I'm not gonna be an oppressive nobleman, and you know what I mean, keep the commoners in line, and cater to their and push back on their demands and stuff like that." So I thought that was interesting that like that was like right off the bat something that came up. And then he goes down and he spends time with the commoners, and it's sort of like the episode takes its time, don't you feel? Like he goes down there and he meets T, and he talks with them, and they have a lot of interactions, and he's like, can you show me this? Can you show me that? And he starts sort of like gradually unfolding the mystery of what's going on here, which is in large part about this ship being like something that's falling into greater and greater disrepair, and he having like no ability to kind of like they seem unmotivated about it. They seem okay with the fact that the ship is going to sink, and he's like, this seems wrong, and he's like getting more details about it as he goes, and is kind of like delving deeper into the mystery and getting a little more outraged and pushing more as he goes too. I would say like he's kind of pushing the docket a little bit about what's going on here, and becoming more demanding and like needing an explanation for like what's happening. And he finally gets to the point where he gets all the way up to their main tower, and they say back away, and he's basically like, no, I'm not backing away, like what the hell. And they send out someone that's to act as sort of an enforcer, and lo and behold, the enforcer is Kino, and he's like, "Oh, fancy meeting you here. When did you come here?" And she's like, "Oh, about 5 days ago, breaking their rule again," and which is fine. And they so they have that experience, and then they talk to her, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I don't know. What are you doing? This is kind of funny." And then the voiceover comes on and is like, "This is completely unacceptable. Why are you having a conversation at all right now? This, like, I can't take this." And they're like, "No, there's nothing. There's no problem." And they're like, "You know each other. You've been plotting against us." And they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And then it just all sorts of falls apart. So they're just like, "All right, well, we're screwed. Let's just go ahead and storm the castle at this point." So they join forces, and they go in, and they get all the way to the AI people, and the AI people are like, "Are you gonna overthrow us and become the new king?" And she's just like, "If necessary, I will." And they're like, "Perfect." And then they just disappear, and she's just basically like, "What the fuck?" And they find out that they were AIs that had been like running things for them. So the AI are no more. I don't know why they disappear and like
That's
are
what I wanted
completely
to. That's what I wanted to bring up because you were talking about. Was it weird to you that he seems really human when they first met Shizu, and then after that, after he kept on poking and prodding about what was going on this ship, they started seeming less and less, well, not less and less human, but like less and less wanting to deal with him and they kept on poking and prodding about what was going on, and then all of a sudden they let go, and they let him become the new ruler, whatever, like that, and then they just disappear, and for no real reason either, too. Because I don't know how AI was in a suit.
I don't know how AI was in a suit, and I don't know why they went away permanently with no, like, why was that okay for them? Like, why were they like, oh, we're just gonna go away permanently now, and
I
like, that's
think
it, we're on.
I think they're not
There's,
gone. I think there's a computer on board, because they bring that up, that the computer was the thing that was keeping the boat moving, wasn't it?
maybe.
I thought they alluded that there was AI, but there were also AI that there's AI, but that AI might have been from the computer or whatever like that was on board that was keeping them moving. Because
Oh
they,
yeah, the
'cause-
ship full of like basically full of children crashed into this thing at one point, and all of the survivors, all the children were taken on board and allowed to survive. Basically, is that what you're referring to?
I guess must have misunderstood what they were talking about. I do, I know like Tiffany or whatever the name of that boat was, had
Uh-huh.
an accident, and the kids basically grew up basically on another boat that they crashed into. But apparently there was some AI on the boat that they crashed into, and the AI managed to help them survive, and it took care of them as they were on the water. So yeah, but it's like I thought when the way it sounded like there was a computer somewhere on this boat that was keeping them alive. Again, though, I will say even if that was an explanation that was true, I don't know where that computer was. I don't think Shizu ran
Mhm.
into it.
You don't think Shizu ran into the computer?
Yeah, I don't know, because he was looking around at first, just trying to find out where the damage was to the ship before he found out that it was unsavable. Um,
Mhm.
and I thought maybe if there was a computer on that thing, he might have ran into it at some point. Maybe not knew what it was, but they didn't really, as far as I can remember, they don't really. I don't remember there being any scene where he ran into something he didn't recognize.
I
But
don't either, to be honest with you.
but yeah, the AI thing disappearing like ghosts was kind of strange. I don't know. Was this episode based off anything in the original series, or is this completely new to you?
This is completely new to me.
Okay, so
And
yeah,
I'm
so
starting to wonder if a lot of these episodes are going to be completely new to me, like if they just kind of like redid the Coliseum episode and that all the rest of this is new stuff, because I'm seeing almost entirely new stuff so far.
because when I was watching this, I was like, I don't know why. It just kind of just seems like this doesn't seem like maybe this is based off of anything. Which I guess is
Hmm.
another thing too. I have this wallpaper here, that I'm using as our podcast background, and I know you made mention that Kino was, modeling herself after a traveler she had met, and it was a guy. And I guess I'm seeing him in the background there. But I don't recognize this chick that's right here in front of him, and I don't know who that is or who that's supposed to be. The confirmation that was new episodes, I'm just kind of curious about something. Like
What are you curious about?
maybe they're adding another character into Kino's background. I don't know. It's possible they could
They
add.
seem they seem to be. There's like a cast of characters like in this series, which is very strange to me.
I mean, we got Tiffany now traveling with Shizu. So apparently, they might be settling down somewhere. I'm guessing. I don't really know. But the way they made it
Mhm.
sound. But
Was Shizu dead?
but Shizu's alive.
How do you know that?
There's a scene beyond the outro, and we see them alive. And
Oh, there's like a post credit scene. I didn't
yeah.
even look for that.
Oh, I, I made sure I looked for it as I saw the bomb go off. I was like, the show doesn't do
Oh,
to be continued. There's got to be something more to this episode, and I'm like, oh, there is. Yeah, we see the
I'm
real,
watching it now.
uh, Kino bandages him up, and we see the little girl sleeping in the tent behind him, and then Kino just disappears after talking to him. Yeah.
I'm watching it now. Give me like a few seconds.
Mhm.
I had to restart it with subtitles so that the sound wouldn't take over.
Oh.
He thanks her for saving him, but didn't he say he didn't want her to save him and she saved him anyway?
I mean, he
All's
says,
well
I
that
don't
ends
know if it's
well.
gonna save him.
Well, I hope we meet again. Yeah, same here. As long as me and Hermes, the name of Hermes, keep traveling.
I forgot momentarily this episode review. Okay, I didn't forget he had a name. He just lost it when we were talking earlier. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, where the Motorrad has a name. Please don't let this be a thing. Try to be nice to the bike and not making it easy.
All right, so it just sort of like nothing else is really accomplished with the ending. It just sort of establishes that he lived.
I mean, was as she says that she's talking to Hermes, she says that the next time, I don't know, because she like the last thing she says is like the shock might kill him when they see him next time. I don't know if that's just her being coy or if she's being serious. I guess the last thing she leaves off before the episode ends. I just thought that was interesting. I was like, huh. You being serious or is this just a joke? I don't know. Again, she is so, to me, emotionless in the face. I can't tell when she's joking. I usually say emotionless. She's very deadpan. To me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the disappearing AI, I can only imagine. The only thing that makes what happened with them makes sense, that they were projections, and there was in fact the computer running things. Because technology like that isn't unheard of, because they got robots, automatons running around this world. And I guess who knows if the automaton episode is going to show up here. But the dude got robots running around. I was like, at the same time, well, not running around, but in a town somewhere. I just like, it just seems to me, it's like, okay, our machine that can project holograms shouldn't be too unheard of. They also got a running around fully mechanized mobile city. Well, some of that technology shouldn't be unheard of. I will say, yeah, it was kind of weird. I remember that caught me off guard when that happened, and when they just dropped. I was like, I will say the episode with focusing on Shizu was interesting too. That's like I like this episode generally, mainly because I like that they focused on Shizu. If not other than that, like at first I was like, are we not gonna hear about Kino coming here? And then they drop subtly that they picked up another traveler, and that this traveler didn't come down to commoners. This traveler went up to be one of the guards. I was kind of curious of, okay, that must be Kino, or we're going to see her at some point in the episode, and lo and behold, yeah, we do. I thought that was kind of cool, seeing this town from a different perspective of a different traveler. Even though,
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
but with that being said, it's not like he did anything different than Kino did. He doesn't have that role of 3 days, though. So. Of course, I don't know if his original incarnation had that role, but like this one didn't. So like, at least Shizu was hanging around. And yeah, I liked his dog. Like, I don't know why you're asking me. I'm just a dog. I was like, okay, we get this. I get that you're a Shizu. You don't have to keep repeating that. You know, I get that you're a dog. It's just when you open your mouth, you start talking English, and I'm just that bothers me. It's just one of those things. Like, honestly, I was more forgiving of that dog, man, because I've seen enough magic anime that they're just magical beasts that talk for no reason. Because it's magic world, so like I just that's where I shuffle away his dog companion. It's a magic beast. But, I don't got much to say other than like the white hair girl that I have expected her to show a little more emotion at some point in the show. Even this cry, I don't even think she cries at all during this episode. Even when we find out about her background and she was on the boat, the original boat that crashed in, and nobody. No, her parents were on the original boat, and she was born on the boat, and nobody took care of her after her parents died. And essentially, she was doing tiny things on the side, apparently killing some people. At least I think that's what they assumed, that they insinuated that she had killed some people on the boat too. But
they did. I missed that.
either I insinuated them insinuating or whatever. I'm not gonna die on that hill. I don't know, cause I kind of just took that. I just kind of took that as like, cause she shivved Shizu after he had told her to go back on the boat. After like the people on the boat didn't want to leave. But that was interesting. I don't know if that was a metaphor for anything. I feel like it might have been, but I couldn't tell you what it was for the country not wanting to leave the ship.
Right. The metaphor of the ship, I think, was pretty much like, you could take it a lot of ways, but like I think it's just the denial of people that are in their comfort zone. Like that people, when they're in their comfort zone, like don't want to believe anything that breaks that little reality bubble that they've made for themselves. Do you think that that might be pretty accurate?
Yeah, I can think that people believe what they want to believe. I guess that's speaking on the AI. Not that they said this, but I feel like it was very smart of Shizu, after seeing what the people were saying to him, and what was going on, and he thought back on what the AI had told him, and then when he heard about what he heard about from the plot dump that Hermes gave us, because of course he's going to do that. That he picked up on, like, okay, the AI had been trying to convince his people to leave the ship, but it wasn't happening. So they pretty much just, whoever it was, made up these overarching people who looked over them on the upper echelon of the totem pole, on down upon them, even though there really was no high class society at all. It was just some phantom society that the commoners, quote unquote, didn't know about. Well, it was interesting, like, okay, the AI had been trying to get them to leave, but they were unsuccessful as well, so they just kept things going. Because it wasn't them, it wasn't them ignoring the damage to the boat, it was the commoners doing it. But that was interesting. It was an interesting little plot twist.
I thought the AI was like aware of the damage to the boat too, and they were.
Oh, they were, but I was getting. Well, I'll let you say what you're gonna say, but really quick, after everything that was said, I took it as the AI had been trying to get these people to leave because they knew about the damage to the boat and that they were going to sink, but the people on the boat didn't want to. And we saw that the people on the boat didn't want to leave after they said that they didn't believe Shizu that the boat was going to sink, because that old man said that this thing had been sailing for as long as he had been alive. And a lot of other people agreed. So like, to me, it's like that. To me, that was saying the people, as you said before, they want to believe what they want to believe. They didn't believe the boat was going to sink, and they didn't think anything of the damage that was done to the part of the ship they don't even inhabit anymore. That's how I took it. Now I don't know how I'm gonna could be wrong. That's my interpretation.
It seemed like it didn't really matter when the people did know it was sinking. They're like, that's not true. That can't be true. It's weird to say no when you're in a state of denial. Like, do you really know something when you're in a straight up state of denial about it?
I felt like they did. Because it didn't seem like it bothered them. When I think, didn't Shizu say that the boat had issues to them and they didn't care?
Where I wish you had a timestamp for that, and I know we're not going to be able to find one.
Again, I could be misremembering or making crap up. I don't know. I just feel like I just felt like that the people, I feel like they knew. I'm not denying that they definitely knew that there was I feel like maybe the AI was trying to get them to leave, because that's what it seemed like when the AI gave up after Shizu said that, he wanted to save these people. To me, I was taking it as the AI had been trying to get them off. for years now, but they just don't want to leave. And it could be either denial that they don't think there's something wrong with the boat, or they straight up just not caring. Because, like, I mean, I think a part of the thing with the abroad is that they don't know how to live on land. I thought that was also kind of weird, because, like, I don't think living on land would have been that different than living on sea. The only difference really would just be you're surrounded by metric tons of water.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, it's even kind of weird that they said they didn't know how to live on land. I think that it's possible that there was a lot more than even Hermes found out about. On top of
Yeah, I
that,
think that's fair.
the little girl apparently was being treated really poorly, and as far as I can tell, she looked fine when she was on the boat. It didn't seem like she was being abused, but I guess like that abuse can take different forms, and she was being left alone, and nobody wanted to deal with her. So, and half the reason that's why she clung to Shizu whenever she was their tour guide. Now thinking about it, that was also kind of weird too, that they let the little girl to be his tour guide.
That they left the little girl to be a tour guide.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of a trend in Kino's journey, though. The little girl that was there was a little girl that was a tour guide in the original one as well, and Kino herself was a innkeeper, which is not the same as a tour guide, perhaps, but it's kind of close. Where she was in charge of like kind of talking people around the town.
I also was commenting on the fact that, like, the little girl was being left alone, and nobody wanted to deal with her, and her being shipped off as a tour guide to Shizu was just the easier way for them to get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
But again, also in this comment, she didn't seem like she was really neglected all that much, because she doesn't look unhealthy. But again, I will admit that people display all kinds of different things differently. Her inability to express emotion might be more damaged than than I know. I don't even know if we're going to see these two again. We saw these two again here, so there's a possibility before the show ends we'll see him again.
We'll see who again?
Shizu and the little girl.
I think we're absolutely going to see Shizu and the little girl again at this point. I think they've established them as well-established characters, and we're stuck with them.
I wouldn't say stuck with it. I like him. I mean, right now, like, after finding out that apparently this was something new, I was like, huh, this is this other woman in this background that I got that I wasn't aware. I thought maybe she's just a character I didn't recognize, but starting to wonder like what her status in this show is, or who the heck she is.
Yeah,
she looks like a traveler. I just don't know like if this is a traveler that was in the original show or not. I don't think that was.
She wasn't in the original show. Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, anyway, let me check my notes. So Shizu said he'd become king and he didn't, so he kind of broke his word there. How did you feel about that? He told the AI he'd become king if necessary, and it seems like it's pretty necessary for him to lead them. They're definitely not doing a good job leading themselves. How do you feel about that?
I don't. Well, the thing is, I know he said to them, if necessary. But who said those people would have even listened to him to begin with? Because he already tried leading them off of the boat, and I feel like maybe Shizu had intended if he was gonna be their king, he wanted to be on dry land anyway. But they weren't gonna go, and I don't know if Shizu was gonna spend his life on that boat.
But he said it, and he seems to do what he says, but then he just sort of immediately forgot it.
I don't think they would listen to him though. I mean, I guess it's kind of crummy that he,
He didn't even try. I mean, I don't know if they would have listened to him, but he wasn't. He didn't even say like, "Hey, they appointed me as your new king." He was just like, "Well, all right, bye guys, easy for me." And then that little girl is like, sticking with him too, and he's like, "No, you too, go, go, go," and, to the point where she kills him or tries to kill him.
I was gonna say that maybe they didn't know who they had kings, but no, they did because they make a reference to the fact that somebody goes up to be a part of the higher guards, so they know that there are quote unquote rulers in their boat.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seemed like they didn't really have any. He sort of abandoned that whole country after he said to the AI people that like he would be their king, and they're like, "All right, we trust you," and they fall apart. And then he's like, "Bye, guys."
Well, maybe
People just can't. Just people can't wait to like doom these people to their fate. And when they come out, he doesn't even really try that hard to talk them out of it. They're just like, "That's ridiculous. We'd never believe that." And he's like, "Oh, all right. Well, the episode's almost over, so I don't really have time to talk you out of it."
okay, touche. But like maybe I'm gonna try my best to to pull this out my ass. Give me a minute. Uh, what if they were talking about Tiffany or whatever her is it Tiffany or is it I feel like I'm misremembering her name. The orphan girl that stabbed Shizu. What if they were
T.
huh?
T. You mean?
Oh, is her name T? I don't know why I kept hearing Tiffany. Okay. T
She's has a longer name. I'm trying to remember what the longer name is, but they call her T for short, which is pretty much what they call her through the whole thing. Her full name is more like a little trivia point, I think, at that point, that she has a more complete name.
maybe they were maybe the I mean, could the AI have been referring
Tifana, Tifana, Tifana. Her name is Tifana. They call her T, and then for the rest
okay.
of the episode, they call her actually. Just go ahead and call her T.
Okay, so well, Tifana or T. What if they were referring to her versus the other people? Because now I'm trying to remember. Was most of the people in that boat like really elderly?
Um,
Except for her?
no. What makes you think that?
I'm trying to remember if like how many people on that boat were not like bearded or wrinkly. Because again, like I guess another thing to point out, like she again, we're going even past it. She doesn't look like she's malnourished. Um, they gave her clothes even though they were ignoring her. And the top of that, they were ignoring her. She had raggedy clothes. She doesn't seem to have raggedy clothes. Her clothes seem to be really, really well kept, unless she's really just good at keeping her clothes not dirty. But meanwhile, the other people seem to be. Well, you have a look at these people. Oh, I have. This is not really going to prove anything. I just need to have a look at something. I really wish that this scroll seeking wheel worked like it was. Wait, what? That's strange.
What?
There's a clip of Tifana. Wait, hold up. Let's see. At like it's like 14, 15. It's a clip. And it looks like she's got the knife and the grenade that she used at the end of the episode. Like apparently they give it to her. I think. Hold up. What are the events that transpire here? Oh no, she just finds a knife and a grenade on the ground after uh Shizu and raid the go go blitzkrieg and kill everybody. Well, not kill everybody, knock everybody out. Going up to like the main captain lair.
Yeah. She saw them. I'm surprised that Kino left weapons like that laying around, though. That seemed out of character for her. I thought that I don't know about the other character, but it just seemed kind of unusual that Kino wouldn't be keeping perfect track of all her weapons. If nothing else, then because it's supplies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that she'd be kind of like concerned about her supplies. Did you wonder about that at all?
No, I didn't even know that happened. I kind of when the little girl pulled out a knife and a grenade, I was wondering where those came from. I just now found out that Brown she had picked them up at some point in the middle of the episode. I just didn't notice.
Mm.
Yeah, this is what everybody seems to be really well clothed. So my point doesn't have any weight. That's what I thought. Miss Room. Everybody seems to be doesn't seem to care about her. They're not even looking at her. Oh, it's just this image of these well, at least a few elderly looking dudes here, but not all of them are elderly looking. Must have just misplanted everything. Like I saw him, my mind decided to like give everybody an elderly look. It was my bad. My brain does that sometimes.
No.
Well, he does say to them that the Tower Clan have been neglected in the country that they claim to govern. I spoke with them and afterwards fought them. Their role is finished. They all boarded a ship and fled from this country. He flat out tries to lie to them to get them to leave the boat anyway. He does speak to them to get them off the boat, and he even claims that he even says that he talked to the Tower Clan, their governors. So he definitely tries. These people just can't adjust to living on land. This is basically what it comes down to. That's for him is like, I guess letting them go, live on the boat. I guess it's kind of sucky that he, quote unquote, let them drown. But these people didn't want to come on land, and he couldn't. He couldn't exactly do that. I'm betting in his mind, like he's probably like, I can't live on the boat. I'm too used to living on dry land.
Mm-hmm.
These people are like, I can't live on land. I'm too used to living in water. So and he tried to get them because he wanted to make a new country on land. I think maybe, and ideally, I think what he wanted to do when he said that if he had to become king, he was going to do it on land. But I'm guessing since he couldn't do it, he couldn't keep his promise anyway. Though I will sit here and say this much. That there's a little kid who actually says that I don't like it on this land. It doesn't even shake. And all the adults look down at him as he makes a complaint. and that's when they go back on the ship. It's not like they went on the ship after he had told them all that. I think that little kid saying what he said is like what really pushed them all to go out back on the boat. And he tells them the ship is fate is sealed. I feel like he fights as hard as he can, but there's only so much you can tell a bunch of people.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I feel like he fights as hard as he can. He could have done more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think given that it was like everybody's life was on the line, you know what I mean? That he could have tried a little bit harder, but I mean that's just me talking out loud, I guess.
Well, I mean, that little boy, I feel like they were all willing to give him a shot. Again, I feel like that little boy complaining that the land don't shake and he's used to that is kind of what pushed them, because none of them fought him on it, not until like that happened, and then he tried telling them this boat was gonna sink, and that's when they all fought back. But it almost seems like maybe they would have given it a shot, maybe if he hadn't, if the little boy hadn't complained and he had attacked the boat. So like I feel like there was some things that happened and he couldn't fight because there was no way he could prove to them. He would have to sink the boat, or the boat would have to sink to prove his point. Like I said, I mean, I don't know what he could have done ultimately. Fighting harder, I don't know what else he could have said or done. I'm not against him trying to save them. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, what else he could have said to convince them that, you know, it's better to live on land where you don't sink. But it's like they've never seen a boat sink.
I mean, to some extent, that's like, sorry, to some extent, there's like, why can't I get my mind wrapped around this? It's an exploratory process.
Kind of late. I mean, we're almost 12 o'clock here, so that's probably why.
It's an exploratory process, I think, to some level, like where you have like when you talk to somebody and you're trying to talk them off a cliff, you know what I mean? You don't have a script. Like you kind of like you get them talking and you go from there, you know? And I feel like maybe that's part of it, you know what I mean? That like it's not a linear thing. Like I can't just be like, well, this is the script they should have followed, you know what I mean? So that they could get where they were trying to go.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but also don't get what you're saying, because like I get what you're saying ultimately. Well, I guess like where I have, even just tossing out the script idea, there's only so much you can tell somebody, especially that older man who kind of was the first one to speak about, like, we never seen this boat sink in the entire life we've been sitting on it. Like, even with the exploratory process, like, I can only imagine what he would have to say is like, you have to convince this old man that this ship is gonna sink. But the only way to convince him that the ship was gonna sink is the ship to actually sink. And at this point, I think the only way you could really do that,
to go in there and be like, look, dumbasses, like here's some water, you know, where there's supposed to be a room. It's not a theory.
No, but here's like, you. I'm sorry, just the bluntness of that. It was so blunt. I think it's kind of late too, but what basically, like, I get what you're saying. That there is obvious point to show that at the same time, it's very clear because like it's not like the places that have water damage are inaccessible to the main public. And like I know,
but he figured it out through a series of evidence that he was able to gather over a short amount of time.
They don't,
and like he could have just been like, hey, listen, is there 25 of you that like might be willing to like talk to me about this, and then those 25 people could have gathered around and he'd been like, here's what we got, and like, could you go tell the others? And then just start a conversation from that and be like, like, this is at least controversial now. Like, guys, like, look, why don't we see where we can go from here?
Fake news.
And then those people that say fake news, you'd be like, okay, great. Like, you're talking about it at least. Like, why don't you come see if it's fake? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you got? What else do you have to do over there? Like, eat a fish? Like, when you're done with your fish, come over here.
I don't have to prove anything. Well, you have to prove it to me. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm not going in places I don't know what's been over there. I'm just saying that like these people, I've seen this before, and I really believe you're trying to convince people. I really do. I'm just joking around. I do truly believe in trying to talk people from things, but at the same time, I can only do so much as a person when their beliefs are so heavily rooted in something that obviously doesn't make much sense, but it's all they have to grasp onto. You're telling them to abandon their only home that they've ever known, to go on land, to attempt to start a life here. Now, for some people, that sounds like awesome. For some other people, that sounds like death. So, you would have to, like, again, it's not just about, like, proving this boat's gonna sink. I think it's also a lot about, like, they don't know any other life. And this stranger, let's be real, Shizu is a stranger. They don't know him from anybody. They don't know what he's like. They don't know if he's trying to trick them. There's all these problems that Shizu himself presents, and it's not even Shizu's fault. Again, he's trying to be nice, and he's being genuinely caring. For people he's never met and will probably never meet again, because like once they go on that boat, that he probably won't see them again for a multitude of reasons. But like, it's like they're strangers, like to each other. Yeah, like, and well, it's all dumb. I agree, this is dumb. They should just believe him. But like, again, like I think something like there's a lot more going on that boat than we really know, and I mean a lot of it has to do with the fact that they ignore this little girl, who I don't know how they treat her. Besides ignoring her, but I feel like there's a lot more going on there. With that being said, a lot of these adults seem to enjoy their life on that boat, eating meager rations, which even like Yuzu brings up as like, you guys can't seem to gift them anything more than fish for some reason. Like, it's like, okay, it's clearly either something's going on nefarious here, or they just don't really care all that much. Maybe they're resigned to their fate. Maybe they know the boat's gonna go down, but they want to go down with the ship. And with,
or I mean, they didn't seem very aware of it. Like, I didn't see any signal to show that they knew about this beforehand, except for the AI.
I feel like they must have known it, because Tifana even knew.
But you also you could also be like, wait. Like, you could be like, listen, guys, like, I get it. Like, moving on to the mainland is scary. Like, why don't we board somewhere good, because it's not going to crash today. And then after we've landed somewhere good, like, we can see about a plan to like either stop the damage from being worse while it's partially on shore, or even fixing and reclaiming some of the lost ship. There's no reason to think that they couldn't just pull over and be like, why don't we do something about what we have in place right now?
Again, you have the problem with the idiots.
Or you could say it might take a few more years for this to do it. Why don't we come up with like a financial plan to save up to get the resources we need?
He actually says that he isn't going to sink now, but it will in the future. They still didn't care. Like, they claimed that he was lying to them. Again, I think a lot of it ultimately what the real issue is that because Shizu was a stranger. That's ultimately what I took from their conversation and stuff like that. Like, I don't think they either trusted Shizu. Like, Shizu just kind of just boarded their country and Gesundheit. boarded their
Sorry.
country. That's a problem. We got like a minute left, but Shizu boarded their country and came down to live with the commoners. And you know, he only talked to a few of them, and he kind of just wandered around with Tifana, and Tifana showed him over where the issues are, water damage wise. Apparently, the freaking the Seekers or whatever their name is, apparently knew about the issues because they were saying that the commoners were telling them that there were issues, but you know, they thought that they were just lying to them or something like that, or he thought it was some attempt to deceive, which is even weirder now. I'm thinking about that out loud. But like they claimed they didn't believe him. At least that's when they were talking to Shizu at first, and then that first conversation with him, and then like they just didn't bother, and he brought it up to him again, and they still didn't seem to care. And then they brought up, they know the ship's gonna sink. I don't know. It feels like even the AI wasn't able to convince them either. So I don't know. Like there's something going on with these people. Like I think it's just like I don't think you could save everybody. The only person that wanted to be saved was Tifana. Based on the way she was acting, you know, when he was like trying to get her to go back on the ship.
And even she like kind of sabotaged her chances, you know, by stabbing him. I know it was a misunderstanding too, but like even she was like a little self-destructive there.
Well, she was afraid of being, you know, she was afraid of like being left alone. She had nowhere to go. Like it was like either being on that ship or no one. If you know, Shizu wasn't gonna take her.
Yeah.
She flat out says, "I don't have anywhere to go." Again, and that's what the lore dump happens. Like, but I don't think there was a right answer to any of this that's going on, because like they weren't believing him. Tifana didn't seem to really have any connections to anybody on that boat. And Shizu was just like, you know, being a traveler and just seeing what was going on with this country. And weirdly enough, I think did more in his visit than I think Kino has done in her visits. She stayed longer in those places. No, I take that back, because she definitely did more damage in Coliseum.
Yeah, at least he just leaves them to their fate. He doesn't actually like order them to kill each other or anything.
That's leaving them to their fate. I mean, it's their fault that they followed that law. I feel like that there's more about like, you know, choosing what you decide to follow in that situation versus regardless of what the country is, because like I feel like there's a right to freedom. I feel like there's a freedom in not following that law. I don't think there was a punishment for not following that law, was there? It wasn't like if you didn't kill anybody, you were dead or whatever. Well, based on the fact that everybody else is killing each other, I'm pretty sure if you didn't kill anybody, you're probably gonna die immediately. But still, with that being said, they didn't have to follow that law.
Yeah.
But they decided to. It was of their own volition. All Kino gave them was an ultimatum. A very crazy ultimatum. But I guess with that, we are literally 2 minutes over 12 o'clock. I gotta get going, and then get so does Spear. See you guys in 2 more weeks, and we'll watch episodes 5 and 6. Whatever those are. I wasn't a drunken lisp. You're a drunk.
Oh my god.
Good night.